In this video, I'll be creating a provisioning package that automates steps when preparing Windows 11 computers, and this provisioning package was requested by one of my channel viewers. I'm starting this video from a GitHub page, and that's because there are a few bits of information here that I will be using for this video, and I will leave the URL in the description down below. And first I want to talk about the idea behind this video. Basically, I made this offer that you see here to my channel viewers, asking them to let me know what provisioning packages they want me to create in my future videos. And so far I only got a single response that you can see in here. I also contacted this person on Discord, and he gave me even more steps that he wants me to include in the provisioning package. And now I'll go through all of the actions that he wants me to include in the provisioning package, so basically disabling out-of-the-box experience, then configuring wireless profiles, then disabling sleep when closing the lid on the laptop, then disabling sleep in general, and then we get a bit more complicated request because he wants to provide user input to change the computer name. And then we have few actions that we need to automate regarding this C_tmp folder. Basically, he has a folder on his USB drive that he wants to copy to the client machine. Also, he wants to create a desktop shortcut for the user that would execute one of the files that is located in that folder. And also he wants to exclude this folder from being scanned with Windows Defender. In this video, instead of copying files from the USB drive to the client machine, I will be using 7-zip to create a self-extracting archive. Then I will package that archive inside of the provisioning package, and then I will be using PowerShell to deploy the files from the provisioning package to the client machine. Let me know in the comments down below if this solution is acceptable. Anyways, after deploying the folder, we have few easy actions that we need to automate, like running Windows updates, installing Chrome, Windows Terminal. Well, Windows Terminal I think is a mistake because Windows Terminal comes with clean Windows installation. Then we have installation of Microsoft Office, Adobe Reader, 7-zip, and TeamViewer host. And then once again we get an action that is more complicated, because once again he wants to provide user input to create new users. In this case he wants to create 2 administrator users with passwords that don't expire. And because this action requires user input, we cannot call it an automated action, but we can still use PowerShell to make it a bit more convenient. And then once again he mentions that he wants to provide user input to change the computer name. And that's basically it for the request that I got in my email. But like I said, I contacted this person on Discord and he gave me a few more actions to automate. So to disable the privacy menu, install Notepad++. Also he wants to enable desktop icons for this computer, network and control panel. He also wants to install uBlock Origin extension for Google Chrome, and also he wants to pin Google Chrome, File Explorer, Calculator, Outlook, Notepad++, PowerShell ISE and Windows Terminal to the taskbar. And that's basically it for this request. Now one last note is that if you can still find this comment under my new Windows Configuration Designer videos, this means that this offer is still available. So let me know what provisioning packages you want to see me create in my future videos. Also try to provide as much information as possible about each action that you want me to include in the provisioning package. Anyways, now I'll continue talking about the package that I will be creating in this video. And here I have a bit more information. And here you can see all the actions that will be included in the provisioning package. And so far this package that I will be creating in this video will be the biggest package I created so far on my channel. The provisioning process will have 2 stages. The first one will be performed in the out-of-the-box experience, and the second one will be performed in the admin user's desktop after the out-of-the-box experience. And few reasons for this is that we can only run actions in out-of-the-box experience for 30 minutes. So it's not the best for software installation if we have multiple software packages that we want to install. And also it's kinda easier to deal with computer restarts outside of the out-of-the-box experience. And here you can see all the actions that will be performed in the out-of-the-box experience. Most of them are scripted with PowerShell, and few of them are default actions that comes with Windows Configuration Designer. And now let's talk about each action. So first, the package will skip out-of-the-box experience. Then it will configure Wi-Fi profile so that we can get internet access over wireless network. And after that, the provisioning package will execute a script called ubisetup. And this script is the most important one because it is responsible not only for executing configuration actions, but also for configuring and executing other PowerShell scripts. It would be possible to create a single script that performs all the configuration actions, But for me it's easier when all the actions are separated by different scripts, because this allows me to easily modify the package for different clients. Anyways, after the provisioning package will execute ubi setup will execute another script called ubi power settings, and this script is responsible for configuring all the power settings on the computer. So it will disable sleep, and also it will set the close lid action to do nothing. And after that another script will be executed called ubi deploy tmp. And this script is responsible for deploying the self-extracting archive that I will be creating with 7-zip. It will also exclude TTMP folder in Windows Defender. It will also create a desktop shortcut called backup USB that will execute a batch file that will be located in the TTMP folder after the script will deploy the self-extracting archive. And after deploying the self-extracting archive, another PowerShell script will be executed called ubi Chocolatey. And this script is only responsible for installing Chocolatey because later the provisioning process will use Chocolatey for deploying software on the computer. And after that, the last PowerShell script that will be executed in the out-of-the-box experience is ubi Chrome extensions. And this PowerShell script is responsible for installing uBlock Origin Google Chrome extension. And maybe me saying that this script is responsible for installing the Google Chrome extension is a bit incorrect, because at this point the computer will not have Google Chrome installed, and that means that we cannot have extensions for it. But this script will configure the computer so that the Google Chrome extension is installed after we install Google Chrome and after we launch it for the first time. Anyways, after executing the ubi Chrome extension script, the ubi setup script will create a folder in C program data on the computer called provisioning, and it will move a few files from the provisioning package to this folder that was created. And that's mainly the requirement for executing the second stage. Anyways, after that, ubi setup script will create a user admin without a password. It will configure run once to execute another PowerShell script called desktop update provisioning. And this script is responsible for running Windows updates on the client machine, but it will not be executed in the out-of-the-box experience. Instead, it will be executed in the second stage, and I will talk about it a bit later. Also, the ubi setup script will configure active setup to import Windows registry file called desktop-icons.reg. And this registry file is responsible for enabling the desktop icons like this computer and the control panel. And here I'm using active setup to import this file because the registry file contains user settings, and this means that if we want to have the desktop icons for all of our users on that computer, we need to import this file for each user on the computer once, and active setup allows us to do that. And the last action in the out-of-the-box experience is to disable the privacy experience menu. And that's it for all the actions in out-of-the-box experience. Now let's talk about the second stage. And in the second stage, the first action that will happen is that active setup will import the desktop icons.reg file for the admin user that will be logging in for the first time. And importing this registry file will enable the user's documents, this PC, network, and control panel desktop icons for the user. And this import will be executed for each user that will be created on that computer once during the first sign-in. And after active setup enables the desktop icons, run once will execute another PowerShell script called desktop update provisioning. And this script is responsible for performing Windows updates. It will also execute multiple times if there are many Windows updates to install. And first, this script will wait for the internet connection because we need internet connection to perform Windows updates. And on the first run only, it will install everything needed for PS Windows Update PowerShell module. And after that, it will use the module to run Windows updates. After updating the computer, it will check if the computer requires a reboot. And if the computer requires a reboot, it will configure run once to execute the same script again. And then it will reboot the computer. And after the reboot, this process will start all over again. But it will skip the second step because it's no longer necessary. And this will happen over and over again until all updates are installed and no reboot is necessary. And when all of the updates are installed, another script will be executed. This time it's called desktop software provisioning. And this script will use Chocolatey to install Notepad++, Adobe Reader, Google Chrome, 7-zip, and TeamViewer host. And after installing all the Chocolatey packages, The script will use Office Deployment Tool to install Microsoft Office. After that, another script will be executed called Desktop Configure Taskbar. And this script is only responsible for pinning the applications to the taskbar. So it will pin Google Chrome, File Explorer, Calculator, Outlook, Notepad++, PowerShell ISE, and Windows Terminal. And after that, the last script will be executed called Desktop Application. And this script will make this ugly thing appear that will allow us to create local user accounts and renaming the computer with user input. I don't like creating user interface applications with PowerShell, but for some reason a lot of people is asking for it. And that's basically all the actions that will be performed by the provisioning package. And now I will begin this video by preparing all the necessary files for the package. And for that I will go to my downloads folder because I will be using my downloads folder as the staging area where I will be placing all the necessary files for the package. And I will start by creating the self-extracting archive for file deployment that the viewer requested. And for that I created this TMP folder. If I go inside of it, you can see that I have few files in here. Most of them don't matter because I'm just using them as an example. The only file that matters is this batch file, because in the request we need to create a desktop shortcut to execute this batch file. And now to create the self-extracting archive, make sure that you're inside of the folder with the files and folders that you want to deploy. Then select all the files and folders, right-click, go to 7-zip and click on Add to Archive. Here the only thing that we need to select is Create SFX Archive, and then let's click OK. Now that we have the self-extracting archive, I will right-click on it, select Cut, go back to my Downs folder, I will place it here, and also I will remove the folder because I don't need it anymore. And now the last thing that I need to do is to change the name, and that's because I have hard-coded the name value in my scripts. So you also need to change the name, or you can modify the script. I will just change the name, so I will right-click on it, select Rename, and then I will add the prefix ubi and dash. And that's it for the self-extracting archive. And now I will download few more executables for the package because I need the Chocolatey installation file and also Office deployment tool. And for that I will go back to my GitHub page because here I have the necessary download links. So first let's click on Chocolatey. It brings us to the Chocolatey GitHub page. Here I will click on the release. I will scroll down a bit and here we need this MSI file. So I will click on it. That should start the download. Let's close this window. Now let's go for Office deployment tool. Let's click on the download and that's basically it. Now we can close this window, go back to the downloads folder. Now for the Office deployment tool, we get this installation file, but we only need a single file that is inside of this file. So let's right click on it, go to 7-zip and extract the contents. I will go inside of the folder and the file that we need is the setup.exe. So I will right click on it, select cut, and I will move this file to the Downs folder. Now I will select the Office deployment folder and the installation file and remove them from my Downloads folder. And now we have three files: Chocolatey installation file, self-extracting archive, and also setup.exe for Office deployment. And that's it for the executables. Now we need the PowerShell scripts and also a few configuration files. And all of them are in my GitHub page in here. As you can see, there is quite a few of them. And first I will click on the configuration.xml. This is the configuration file for installing Microsoft Office. As you can see here, we are installing Pro Plus 2021 Volume Edition. And this was provided me by the viewer. Anyways, let's click on the button right here to download this configuration file. Go back to the GitHub page. And now let's click on desktop application file. And this is the script that is executing this application right here. As you can see, here I'm using this XML to create this user interface and then performing all actions using PowerShell. But this script is kind of out of scope of this video, so let's just click on this button right here and download it. Go back to the GitHub page, and the second script is desktop configure taskbar. And this script is responsible for pinning the applications to the taskbar. It works by creating few registry entries in Windows registry. Also, for it to work, we need another file called desktop-taskbar.xml that I have here in the GitHub page, and it's this one right here. Basically, it's an XML file with all the applications that we want to pin to the taskbar. So here you can see Google Chrome, Windows Explorer, Windows Calculator, and others. Now let's download this file and also this script and go back to the main page. And the next file that I need is desktop-icons.rec. If I click on it, you can see this is just a registry file that will be imported for each user on the computer once during the sign-in using active setup. And this will enable desktop icons such as this PC, control panel, network, and also user documents. Now to download this file, let's click on this button right here and go back to the main page. The next script is desktop software provisioning, and this script is responsible for installing software. And this script will be using Chocolatey to install the Chocolatey packages that you see here, so 7-zip, Notepad++, Google Chrome, Adobe Reader, and TeamViewer host. After that, we have the installation for Microsoft Office without Chocolatey using the Microsoft Office deployment tool. And after software installation that happens here, it will execute few other scripts, so desktop configure taskbar and desktop application, so the scripts that we already downloaded. Now to download this file, let's click on the button right here, go back to the GitHub page, and we already have the desktop taskbar.xml file. So the next file that we need is desktop update provisioning. And this is for installing updates. And this script first will wait for internet connection. After the internet connection is detected, it will download and install everything that is needed to install PowerShell module called PS Windows Update. Then using this module, it will check for updates, and if it finds them, it will install them. After installing them, it will check if the computer needs a reboot, and if the computer needs a reboot, it will configure run once to execute the script once again. And after that, it will restart the computer. And after the computer restart, the script will be executed once again. Once again, it will wait for internet connection. It will skip this part right here because this executes only on the first run. After that, it will once again check and install updates. And it will also check if the computer needs a reboot. And if the computer does need a reboot, it will once again configure run once to execute the script. But if the computer does not need a reboot, it will execute another script called desktop software provisioning. Basically, this script runs over and over again until there are no updates that require a restart. Anyways, let's click on the button right here to download this script and go back to the main page. Here the next script that we need is ubi Chocolatey. This is a very simple script only to install Chocolatey, so let's just click on the button right here to download it. The second one is ubi Chrome extensions. This is to install the uBlock origin extension, and it works only by creating a registry entry. So not that interesting. Let's click on the download button. And then next one is the TMP folder deployment. And this script is for deploying the self-extracting archive. So first it will create the destination directory. After that it will create a Windows Defender exception that was requested by the viewer. After that it will copy the self-extracting archive from the package to C Windows temp directory. And this step is because sometimes Windows fails to execute executables that are directly in the package. And to go around that, we can just copy the executable from the package to a location on the computer and then execute it from there. And after that, the script will execute the self-extracting archive. And that's basically it. The last part here is for creating the desktop shortcut. And the desktop shortcut will be created in the public desktop. This will make it available to all the users on the computer. Here you can see the target, and also it will set a shortcut icon. And if you don't like the icon, you can check out this link right here that will have a list of other available icons. So, and to change the icon, you need the DLL name and also the index number. In this case, we're using imagegress.dll and the 112 index. So let's just find 112, and this is the icon that will be used for the shortcut on the desktop. Anyways, let's download this file and let's go to the other one. And the other one is ubi power settings. Oh, this is also a not very interesting script. This is only to set all the power settings. So let's just click on the button right here, go back. And the last script is ubi setup, and this is one of the more important scripts. And that's because this is the main script that will be executed inside of the provisioning package that is responsible for executing and configuring other scripts. And here you can see the list of scripts that will be executed by this script. After that, it will create a provisioning folder in C program data folder on the computer. After that, it will move files from the provisioning package to that provisioning folder on the computer. And after that, it will create a user admin without a password. After that, it will configure run once to execute a desktop update provisioning. This will happen after the out-of-the-box experience. And also it will configure active setup to import the desktop icons registry file. And also it will disable the privacy experience. And that's basically it. Now let's click on the button right here to download this file. And I think that was the last script that we need from the GitHub page. So if I go to the downloads folder, here we have a lot of files, 15 in total. And now I can start creating the provisioning package. And for that, I will go to Windows Configuration Designer, click on File, and then New Project. I will name the project Package. And let's click Next, Next. Here I will select all Windows Desktop editions, and then Next, and Finish. And first let's skip after the box experience because this is the easiest one to do. So UBI desktop, and here for hide UBI let's select true. And now let's configure wireless network settings because we want the computer to automatically connect to the wireless network, and for that we need to go to connectivity profiles in here, then VLAN. Here we need to select VLAN settings. Here we need to enter our SSID, and I have an SSID called let's do automation. Then let's click add. Let's click on the wireless profile here. Here we need to select security type. In my case, it's VPA2 personal. Here we need to enter the security key, basically the password for the wireless. And in my case, it's a very secret password, password 55. And that's it for the default actions that we have in the Windows Configuration Designer. Now let's configure the script execution, and for that we need to go to Provisioning Commands, Device Context. Here we need to select Command Files, then let's click on Browse. Let's go to the Downloads folder and select all the files that we have in here. Then let's click Open and Add. And as you can see, all the files that we have in the downloads folder appeared here in the package. And now we need to configure the provisioning package so that it executes the ubi setup ps1 script that we have in here. And to do that, I will click on the command line, and then I will go to my GitHub page. Because here I have the line that I will be using, so I will be executing PowerShell. I will set execution policy to bypass, and then we provide the file that we want to execute. In this case, it's ubi setup ps1. So I will click on the button right here to copy this line, go back to the Windows Configuration Designer, place the line here, and that's it. Now we can create our package. And for that, I will go to Export, Provisioning Package. I will click Next here, Next, and wait, I will click back. And because we're using the wireless password in our package, it would be a good idea to click on Encrypt the package. But in this case, I will skip this step. Then I will click Next, Next, and then Build. And now I will click on the output location, and here we have our package. And the only file that we care about in here is the package.ppkg. And now to test this package, I will right click on it, select copy, and then I will go to my USB drive and place the package inside of my USB drive. And then I will go to VMware Workstation because here I have this Windows 11 virtual machine. That is in the out-of-the-box experience. Now to execute the provisioning package, the only thing that we need to do in this case is to plug the USB drive to this virtual machine. And to do that, I will go to VM, Removable Devices. I will select the USB drive that I want to connect, and then I will click on Connect. And as you can see, the provisioning process started automatically, and now we just need to wait and see what's going to happen. And as you can see, after out-of-the-box experience, it automatically started searching and installing Windows updates, and it also connected to the wireless network. So far everything seems to be just fine. Let's wait a bit more for it to finish Windows updates and installing software. And as you can see, after installing the first batch of updates, the script restarted the computer, and it's now checking for updates once again. And it found 2 of them, and it will install, check if the computer needs a reboot one more time, and if it doesn't, it will start the software installation. And as you can see, the software installation already started. That means that after installing the updates that you see here, the computer didn't need to reboot anymore. So let's wait a bit more. And that's basically it, because when this ugly thing appears, that means that the provisioning process is over. Now let's check if I managed to automate all the steps that we had in the request here. And I will start with the bottom three, so computer restart, and then providing user input to change the computer name and also create multiple user accounts. So let's go back to the virtual machine and let's use this sub animation. So to create the user account, we only need to enter the username, so I'll enter admin01, then we need to provide the password, so let's enter password 55. Also we can leave the password blank, and also by default it will add the user to the administrators group. Now let's click on create and let's open MMC console and click yes here, and let's check if the user was created. And I'm using MMC console because this is the easiest way for me, at least. Let's go to users, and here you can see that we have this admin01 user, and he is a member of administrators group. Also, we can create another user account, so let's do admin002, and then let's leave password blank, and let's add him also to the administrators group. So let's click create. We need to refresh this window. And as you can see, the user appeared. He is also in the administrators group. And also, if I remember correctly, the request was for the password to never expires. So this checkbox is also checked. And that's basically it for the user accounts. Now for the computer restart, we have the current computer name in here, and we can enter the computer name that we want. So I will enter computer 01. I will leave the checkbox to restart the computer, and let's click change. The computer will restart, so let's wait a bit. And the computer restarted successfully, so now let's check our new computer name, and for that I will just open the terminal application that we have here, and let's check the environment variable computer name. And as you can see, our new computer name is computer01. And that means that all the three requests in the bottom were successfully completed. And now let's check if the software packages were successfully installed. So let's check if Chrome, Microsoft Office, Adobe Reader, 7-zip, TeamViewer Host, and also Notepad++ were successfully installed. And for that, let's go back. Let's open Control Panel, go to Uninstall a Program, and here we can find Adobe Reader, Google Chrome, TeamViewer Host, Microsoft Office, Notepad++, and 7-zip. And I think that's all the applications in the list. And we also had in the request to check for updates. So let's go back to the virtual machine and see if we have any updates still available. So let's click on check for updates and wait a bit. And as you can see, we no longer have any updates available, so update installation was also successful. And now we have here everything related to the TMP folder. And so let's check our TMP folder. Let's open File Explorer, go to the C drive, and here we have the TMP folder. As you can see, all the random files were deployed. Also, here we have the batch file. And here on the desktop, we have the desktop shortcut. If I click on it, it executes this bat file. As you can see, we have a custom icon. We can also go to properties and see that the target is in fact correct. So everything here seems to be okay. Yeah, also we need to see if we have the exclusion in Microsoft Defender. Well, Windows Defender or whatever it's called. So virus and threat protection, manage settings, and somewhere here in the bottom we have exclusions. And if I click yes here, we can see that this folder is excluded from Microsoft Defender scans. So everything seems to be okay relating this DPM folder. And then we have questions to set the computer name, but I already got over that in the bottom here, so let's skip it. No energy saving mode, so let's check our power settings. Back to the control panel. Now let's type here power settings or power options. Here we have balance plan. If I go inside of here, you can see that all of the sleep settings are disabled. But the problem is that I'm using a virtual machine and I cannot check the close delete settings. So let me know in the comments down below if the close delete settings are working for you. And then we have the wireless profile configuration. And if you didn't see before, the virtual machine is connected to my wireless network. Let's do automation. And it did connect without any user interaction. So this action was completed also successfully. And also we had no out-of-the-box experience. And because we didn't have any interactions in out-of-the-box experience, that means that this setting also worked just fine. Then in here we had disable privacy experience because it didn't pop up. That means that this also worked just fine. Then we have desktop icons and this computer network control panel. And here on the desktop, we can see this PC, network, and also control panel. So this was success also. Now for Google Chrome extension, let's open Google Chrome and wait a bit. Let's click here, don't sign in, then skip. And then we need to click on no thanks. And then I got it, I mean. And then let's go to our extensions, and they are here, manage extensions. And as you can see here, uBlock Origin is installed. So this action was also completed successfully. And the last action is to pin software to the taskbar. So Google Chrome, File Explorer, Calculator, Outlook, Notepad++, PowerShell IC, Windows Terminal. And as you can see, we have all the applications in here, I think in the same order as here. And that means that the automation package was executed successfully and it managed to perform all the actions requested by the viewer. And that's basically it for this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and see you in the next one.